I'm Katie Pavlich, Townhall.com, and I am here with Congressman Allen West, who our Town Hall readers absolutely love.
Thanks, Katie.
We featured Congressman West on the cover of the June issue of Town Hall magazine.
That was incredible.
So if you haven't subscribed to that, make sure you get that. I wanted to ask you about Condoleezz Rice's speech last night.
Yes.
You grew up in the inner city of Atlanta.
Yep.
She
right.
told her story about...
She was on the other side of I-20. I was in Atlanta, and she was down in Birmingham.
Right. So how could you kind of relate to her on the level of her personal story and also her foreign policy experience?
Well, very easy. You know, when I think about my parents, my father was actually born in southern Alabama. He jumped the Chattahoochee River and grew up in South Georgia. My mother was born in South Georgia. And for them to have a son now that represents the highest per capita income zip code in the United States of America, this is a great country. And I think that's what Condoleezz Rice was talking about. And also when you think about her foreign policy experience and, relation to national security, that's what we need, because for the first time, and this is somewhat alarming for me, we have a president and vice president and candidates thereof that have never served in the military. And so we cannot have this sense in our country that we're not honoring and respecting our military to be at the highest levels of leadership in this country. So we need to make sure that there are those of us that have that background experience, and we're here to be in the back and in the Mitt Romney camp, in the corner, whatever they need, we'll make sure they get the advice and counsel that's required.
So speaking of Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, neither one of them have military experience
that's what I'm
either.
saying, yeah.
Right. So what's the difference between President Obama's vision for America in foreign policy and what Mitt Romney sees for the future?
I think it's very simple. Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan understand the three words from Ronald Reagan, of peace through strength. I think that President Obama wants to manage the decline of the United States of America. And you heard that talked about last night, from the fact that he sided with a Hugo Chavez-backed dictator down in Honduras to what we see today, trusting the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and throwing Hosni Mubarak under the bus, much the same as Jimmy Carter did the Shah of Iran, and we see what that got us. So you have a person that does not understand foreign policy whatsoever. As a matter of fact, he believes that another term will give him more flexibility with Russian President Medvedev and, of course, now Vladimir Putin. And you have a Vladimir Putin who just, 3 weeks ago, we had a Russian attack submarine off our coastal waters that went undetected for a few months, and he's talking about putting a naval base in Cuba. So that's not what we want. We want to have a military and a leader that exudes American strength.
Right. So speaking of Russia, the only way that we get into space now is with the help of the Russians.
Got a thumb a ride.
Right. And so you have been working in Florida. You represent Florida, district in Florida. You've been working to kind of get NASA back in the forefront of being an issue that's not just about science necessarily, but also national security. Can you talk about that project a little bit?
Well, the most important thing we have to realize is the next level of national security is cyberspace and outer space. And we need to make sure that we're at the forefront as far as satellite technology and aerospace technology, and NASA is so important for that. So we should not be shutting that down. And also, it just represents that which is the great about Americans, the fact that when we're challenged, we go to infinity and beyond, if I can borrow that little phrase. But now you see us being relegated to, thumbing a ride from Russia or whomever next, and that's not who we are.
Mitt Romney's scheduled to speak tonight. Anything you're looking forward to specifically?
I'm looking forward to him making the case of America voting for him, not just against President Obama.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Katie.